and we are going to look at just the introduction part of it. And then after doing that, we're going to try and, look at the characteristics of living things or living organisms, all right? This is where we're going to look at the branches of biology, then on the characteristics of living things. After looking at the characteristics of living things, we'll be able to, all right, what is biology? So you can define biology as the study of living organisms. Several branches of biology. Okay. When we talk of botany, we are talking about the study of plants, all right? So when we begin to study plants, it means we are studying what? The branch of biology called the botany, all right? So the study of plants is called the botany. The study of animals, when you're studying animals, then that particular study or part of biology is called zoology, from the word zoo. I guess you know what a zoo is. Then we have ecology, all right? Ecology is the study of interaction of organisms with each other and with their non-living organisms. So where you begin to see, the interaction, okay, the interaction of organisms with each other, and also how those organisms interact with their non-living environment. Okay, so just that study is called ecology. Then we have biochemistry. We have biochemistry as one of the branches of biology. Okay, so biochemistry, how chemical reactions takes place in those living organisms. That is it, biochemistry. So the study of chemical reactions that occurs in living organisms. Then we have entomology. Entomology, this is where you study about insects, all right? There are people who study insects, okay? So that branch of biology is called entomology. Okay, characteristic of living things that may be summarized by the mnemonic Mr. Graphic. Okay, Mr. Graphic. Movement. Movement tells, okay, just one of the characteristics that shows that something is a living organism. But it's not everything that moves, all right, which are living organisms, right? You cannot say a car is a living organism. Reproduction, all right? When you see an organism giving birth or producing its offsprings, okay? Its young ones, then it means it's a living organism. Then when you see the changes in sizes, weight, mass, whatever, okay, the growth, if something is growing, then that thing which is growing is a living organism. Respiration, okay, the taking in of air in and out. Then excretion, the removal of metabolic substances from the body, okay, excretes unwanted materials, okay. Then also feeding or nutrition, then also sensitivity, okay, being able to detect some of the changes made within its environment, then that is that shows that it's a living organism, all right? Then also cells, okay, cells as well. Living organisms have cells, right? So these are just some of the characteristics. Now let's try to check what they mean. What is movement? What is reproduction, growth, respiration, excretion, feeding, or nutrition? What is sensitivity, and what are cells? Now look at this. Movement, okay, by which a living organism changes its location and its what? Its posture without any external help, okay? So the movement of an entire organism from one place to another is called locomotion, right? So there'll be a time we'll be looking at the locomotion, support, and movement, okay? Now let's go to the next one, which is respiration. This is the release of energy from food substances inside living organisms. The release of what? The release of energy. That is what respiration is. The release of energy from food substances inside the living organisms. So there are two types. We have the aerobic. We also have the anaerobic, okay? What is the difference? The aerobic respiration is the release of energy from food substances inside the living organism in the presence of oxygen. So take note of this. This is what makes it different from the other one. Aerobic involves the presence of oxygen, okay? But the other one does not involve the presence of what? Oxygen, meaning it's the absence of oxygen. So anaerobic respiration is the release of energy from food substances inside the living organism, but without what? The involvement of oxygen. So that is the only difference. So we have two types of respiration. Okay, so we can say this is respiration. This is, we can do this. Okay, this is respiration divided into two, which is aerobic, and anaerobic, meaning not aerobic, right? So aerobic involves what? The release of energy inside living organisms, right? But within those cells, oxygen is present, right? When there's no oxygen, then that is another type, okay? So that is what it is. Aerobic respiration yields more energy than anaerobic, okay? So where there's oxygen, there's more energy than where there isn't. That is another key thing that you need to understand. So aerobic respiration yields more energy than anaerobic respiration. With growth, this is, of course, the permanent increase in size, mass, number of cells, and also the complexity of an organism. Okay, when you begin to see the size changing, all right, from a smaller to a bigger size, the mass, okay, from maybe 1 kg, 1 point something kg, 3 kg, whatever, you see the mass is also increasing. The number of cells also is increasing, and also the what? The complexity of an organ. Okay. Reproduction. What is that? What is reproduction? This is a process by which living organisms produce their young ones. So there are two types also. We have the sexual and the asexual. Okay, there are two types of reproduction. In sexual production, offspring produced by the fusion of male and female gametes. So let me use maybe a green here for this word. Okay, like that. So this is from one or from two parents, right? They are genetically different from their parents. So that is what sexual production is. Then in asexual reproduction, the offsprings are produced from one parent without involving any gametes, right? And are genetically identified to the parent and each other. So here there is the presence, there's presence of gametes, right? Then in the asexual, there's absence of the gametes. Okay, so that is one thing we need to understand about that. Let's excretion. What is excretion? So this is the removal of toxic metabolic waste, unwanted waste from the cells. Okay. All right. Some examples of those toxic metabolic waste that are not needed in the cells of the body are urea. Urea is not needed in the body. Excess salt is not needed. Salt is needed, but not excess, right? So excess salt, we have excess water. All right, you need water, but there'll be some water that will need to be out from your body through sweats, through urinating, right? Bowel pigments, all right, the bowel pigments, and also the carbon dioxide. These are just some of the toxic metabolic wastes that are not needed in the body. So feeding or nutrition, feeding and nutrition means the same. This is a process by which living organisms obtain food. Living organism obtain food. How do you know to say these are living organisms? Okay. That is a question you need to answer. So this is heterotrophic, okay? Autotrophic, heterotrophic, okay? So these are the two types of feeding. So the autotrophic, you can tell from the word auto means self, all right? So this is a type where an organism makes its own food. Self, its own, right? On and self means the same. That's why it's auto. So the organism makes its own food. For example, we have green plants. They make their own food, right? Then heterotrophic, this is where, all right, this is where organisms take food, take in food that is present in bodies of others, okay? This is where some living organism depends on other living organisms. So they take food from other bodies or from the bodies of others, okay? That is about this. So let's go to sensitivity, then we summarize. So sensitivity, this is the ability to detect. If you're able to tell, to say something dangerous is going to happen or is about to happen, it means you are responding to stimuli, okay? You are responding to stimuli. So a stimuli is any change in the environment which causes a response from an organism, okay? So when you are sensitive, like maybe someone is trying to make you be scared of something and you're scared, it means you've responded because of that is stimulus, what? Change that has happened. Okay, so that is about the sensitive, you know. For example, I'll give an example of a bird. When you're walking and then it just senses to say there's something coming, it will fly away. Why? It has responded to the stimulus change within that particular environment. Then we have cells. We have cells, all right? Living organisms. Okay, these are basic functional units of living organisms. Some organisms are made of single cells. Others are made out of what? Multiple cells. All right. For example, bacteria have only one cell. Unicellular organisms, these are organisms that only have one cell. And examples are the bacteria, okay, which only have one cell. So we have other organisms that have a lot of cells, and those are called multicellular organisms. Multicellular organisms. For example, okay, we have the fungi, we have plants, all right? Plants have multicellular. We have animals, including human beings, all right? So human beings falls under animals, right? So the fungi, the plants, animals, All right. All these have a lot of cells and they're called multicellular organisms. So under cells, we said there are two types. We have the unicellular organisms, we have the multicellular organisms. Unicellular, these are organisms that only have one cell. Multicellulars, these are organisms that have more than one cell. And examples of unicellulars, we have bacteria. Examples of multicellular organisms, we have fungi, we have plants and animals. Okay. Let's look at metabolism or the metabolic reaction. The metabolic reaction. What is metabolism? Or what is the metabolic reaction? So this is the sum total, the total of chemical reactions. Okay, the total of chemical reactions that take place where? Inside living cells. Okay. So all the chemical reaction that takes place in living cells, all of them when they are put together, then we call it metabolism, all right? Or the metabolic reaction, right? So metabolism is the sum total of chemical reaction that take place inside living cells. So there are also two types of metabolic. We have anabolic and catabolic. We have anabolic and catabolic reactions. Okay, so the anabolic reactions, these are metabolic reactions where large and complex molecules are synthesized from small and simple molecules. Okay, for example, we can talk of photosynthesis. Okay, we can talk of protein synthesis. We can talk of synthesis of fats. Okay, so all that happens through the metabolic reaction called the anabolic. Okay, what of the catabolic? All right, this is where the large complex molecules are broken down. They are broken down into simpler molecules. For example, we can talk of respiration. Okay, that is a metabolic reaction, of course, which is catabolism. Respiration. We also have digestion. Okay. So respiration and digestion are just some of the examples of the metabolic, the catabolic reaction. Okay. Now, what we need to understand here is that all metabolic reactions are catalyzed by what we call enzymes. Okay, and these are just biological catalysts. Biological catalysts. So for today, we end here and hope this was helpful. Thank you very much. Please don't forget to subscribe and all thumbs up to eskulu.com for the material used for this presentation. Thank you very much.